This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report, where we're talking about the mass protests in the streets with, it's believed, at least 1,000 people injured and a number dead in the streets of Turkey. I want to go to the Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan's comments about the protesters in Taksim Square in Istanbul and around the country.
They have been removing pavestones and breaking the windows of local stores. Is this democracy? They say Tayyip Erdogan is a dictator. I have nothing to say if they call the person who has committed himself to serving his nation a dictator.
Prime Minister Erdogan also condemned the way social media was used to spread the news about the protests. He said, quote, "There is now a menace which is called Twitter. The best examples of lies can be found there. To me, social media is the worst menace to society." I want to get the response of both of our guests. Nazan Öztürk is with us, activist and scholar, and Koray Çalışkan, Associate Professor of Political Science at Boğaziçi University in Istanbul. Professor Çalışkan, first of all, it is my understanding that the Prime Minister of Turkey was one of the first Turkish leaders to sign on to Twitter and retweets quite a lot, if not him, his staff. But the significance of the blackout on news in Turkey and his comments about social media.
Yes, this is what happened. But we see this in every authoritarian leader in the Middle East. Twitter is a wonderful tool for people to edit their own newspapers and write comments about life and history. And Twitter usage has blasted in the next 3 days. Only in the last 4 days, my followers increased by 30% in the country. Right now, I just came back from Department of Computer Engineering at Boğaziçi University, and I sat down with one industrial engineer who works on big data from Sabancı University, a computer scientist, and me. We are writing an article for the daily newspaper Radikal, imagining and analyzing this new interesting relationship between Twitter and social political movements in the country. The Prime Minister Erdogan uses Twitter very well, but when people take the streets against him, he looks down upon Twitter. Prime Minister Erdogan says that he is also a follower of Atatürk. When it comes to talking about alcohol ban in the country, he says, how come a drunken man cannot write a law and our Islam, we don't listen to our Islam. So he is an ultra-pragmatic leader who bends reality according to his own interests.
CNN International's Ivan Watson was filing a report on live television when he started to cough after police used pepper spray in Istanbul's Taksim Park. I want to go to an excerpt from Ivan's report.
You can see the riot police here in the central Taksim Square squaring off against demonstrators who are starting to set up burning barricades. They're hurling rocks and bottles. It's very overwhelming, and this is the commercial heart of Turkey's largest city. This started as a protest movement against plans to bulldoze that park over there and replace it with a shopping mall.
At the end of that report, CNN's Ivan Watson said it was hard to breathe without wearing a gas mask in the area near Taksim Square and Gezi Park. I'm wondering, Nazan, if you can talk about the police use of tear gas at the protests in Istanbul and Ankara and in other related demonstrations.
Just give me a second. I'm on Democracy Now!
We call this the gas state of the state because it has been going on here for a very, very long time. This is not the first time that the police has been gassing us. As you might recall, in October, there was a really large hunger strike in Turkey. 10,000. In the end, it culminated to 10,000 people. They were protesting all also the government because it had finished the peace process, which had started a couple of 2 years ago. So and during that time, this time it was the Kurds who had taken over the streets, and thousands of people were on the streets for weeks, and that was also a mass gathering of people. So in Istanbul, people had witnessed that, and there are, I think there's a subconscious contamination because we have seen as Turks how the Kurds have taken over the streets and how they have claimed actually their rights by taking the streets, and it was a legend. It was legendary how they bended one of the most authoritarian police force in the world to their wishes. I think we were subconsciously contaminated by it, and I cannot believe that we can stand now this amazing tear gas which prevents you from breathing and from talking and from doing anything. But I see people, I mean, I have seen, not now, but I have seen people standing in the midst of this gas without moving, and actually police had to in the end move. Empowering. I cannot tell you how empowering this is, because this is a country which has been known for the brutality of its police force, and for actually Turkish people's unquestioned loyalty to the state, to its own police forces and to its army. So it's very exciting to see all these different sections of people standing against this gas, against this police force, and just to and how it was actually initiated just to protect a park and the trees on that park, the last resort, the last public space which wasn't given to private interests. So and from that now in Beşiktaş, for people who know Istanbul, in all the neighborhoods, people are now trying to open up spaces, stateless spaces where they collaborate and where they show solidarity with each other, where they share bandages, where they share lemons to protect each other from gas. So it's very exciting to be here.
The mayor of Istanbul, Kadir Topbaş, said on Friday that the concerns about the demolition of Gezi Park and Taksim Square were not accurate. He said, quote, "It's simply the mandatory removal and transfer of trees in the area in order to enlarge the pedestrian walk. The work that will be done is not on the scale of a shopping mall. And what we see here is the exploitation of our nature-loving citizens with misinformation. Sadly, there are those who exploit people over this and who expect political gains from this." Professor, I would like to go to your response, Professor Çalışkan. Do you know the number of dead at this point? Doctors are saying more than 1,000 wounded.
More than 1,000 wounded. I have many friends, at least 10, who are wounded. Unfortunately, we lost one person, and 5 people are in critical condition because of the tear gas that they had on their heads. The police is aiming at the head with their tear gas bullets, and they maim people, they shot people on the head, on their bodies. What the mayor said is not right. This is a clear sign of looking down upon people's intelligence. He's just telling that 700,000 Turks are so easily manipulated that 700,000 people can just follow a number of tweets and they find themselves in Taksim Square. This is not the case. Turkish people know that they tried to deroot all the trees of this park by changing a corner of it, and the work started without any news about the nature of the work. If you start any construction project, Amy, it's very much like New York City or Washington, D.C. A major construction project Even a minor one at a city center should have a sign on it. The contractor, the permit, everything, all right? Even the budget should be written on the construction project, okay? There was nothing in Taksim Square. They started killing the trees, cutting them, and raising and taking the soil and moving it with bulldozers, and people said no. The mayor should not look down upon people's intelligence on the ground.
Finally, Nazan Üstündağ, where do you see this going? Can you talk about communicating with people in other cities, like in the capital, Ankara, and also in terms of the police, the targeting of the tear gas canisters, aiming for heads, the reports we're hearing over the weekend?
Mm-hmm. I really don't. Things like this, are unpredictable. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. 4 demands have been pronounced. One of them is the banning of the tear gas, actually. The other is the release of people who have been arrested. And then, of course, the stopping of the mall project at Gezi Park. And there was one more that I can't remember right now. So there are 4 demands, and until these 4 demands are met, we are not going to leave this place. But this, I'm not sure that the police, at some point, the police will try to enter, and so the whole thing can start again. Actually, at night, there are other districts where people demonstrate, and when they demonstrate, the police arrives there, and there have been yesterday, actually, one person died because he was actually ran by a car during the demonstrations, during the fight against the police. So the police did not kill him, but it was during the demonstrations. So we don't really know how long, whether these events will be met. But the good news, and I would like to share this now through you as well, there have been, the unions are calling for a general strike. So the whole thing will take another form once the strike starts, and this will bring in new demands once the workers join in. So we are trying what we are expecting. I think I can say this for all of us who are here, to hear once in this 10 years the truth coming out through the lips of the president, saying something truthful, saying, he has done something wrong, saying that people are protesting against him, saying that he has been pressuring the media to not to speak, not to give any news, saying that he hasn't been doing the constitution that we have all been expecting for the last 10 years, saying that this renovation projects are oppressive totalitarian projects, saying at least one of these, saying once in his lifetime something truthful. That's all we are expecting.
You're talking about the president responding this. The prime minister, Erdogan himself, has just left. Is that right? He was speaking to reporters before he began a 4-day trip to Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I meant the prime minister. Sorry for saying the president. I meant the prime minister. Yes, he has left, and that's exactly what he has done during the hunger strikes too. He has left. That's what he does. He just leaves the country and hopes for the best. And then when he comes back and the best has not happened, so then he makes a concession, but pretending as if he doesn't make the concession. But I don't think this time concession will be enough.
And the number you estimate, Nazan, of dead in the protests?
There hasn't. I mean, I can't. I can only tell you what the Association of Doctors is saying, and they are saying there has been only one death due to police violence, and that has happened in Ankara. There are very, very bad badly wounded people, some of them in coma, but there has been only one death until now. Thousands of people are injured, and a lot of people have lost their eyes because of the, I don't know how you call it in English, these bullets that are not real, but
rubber bullets.
Yeah, when they come to your eye comes out, and a lot of people, as far as I know, 12 people have lost their eye.
I want to thank you both for being with us, Nazan Ustantag, on the streets, activist and scholar, and Koray Çalışkan, assistant professor of political science at Boğaziçi University in Istanbul, speaking to us about the mass protests that have been taking place throughout Turkey now, begun in Istanbul, with about, it's believed, 1,000 people injured. This is Democracy Now!